Hey, it's Dorr with Tactical Hyve. Today's video, it's all about pistol braces. These things showed up on the market, about a decade or so ago. Got a pretty good sampling of where they began and the latest and greatest. We're just gonna go through what we like about them, what we don't like about them, and maybe get into how ridiculously stupid the SBR law is in general. All right, up next. Hey, today's video is brought to us by Vedder Holsters. Vedder Holsters are made in the USA. We use them here on the channel both when we're making our content and in our classes. You can pretty much pair you up with any major make model pistol. If you own one, a pistol that is, you gotta have a holster for it. You can't really have one without the other responsibly or effectively. So go ahead and check them out in the description below. Let's get to the video. All right, guys, so today's video, braces. Are they on their way out? Are we gonna keep them? What's going on? Nobody knows. The internet is a wild, wild place. And frankly, we're just gonna have to see what happens. These things came onto the market better part of a decade or so ago. Before that, everybody was just like sticking foam or the end of like the rubber stoppers on the end of canes on the back of just like M16 buffer tubes. You know, they were pulling out of buttstocks, etc. But at some point, they figured out that they could make braces that looked a lot like buttstocks. And as far as I know, this was the first big successful one. This one's made by Sig Sauer. Absolutely atrocious. You know, they do make a lot of cool stuff, but this thing, you know, it was a starting point. And it had literally had this big sleeve that you could open up and stick on your wrist. This is the first time I've ever actually done this in my life, and it feels as bad as it looks. But anyway, it was a good starting point. Obviously, nobody actually does that. It's freaking ridiculous. So people are shouldering these things, and that's just fine with me. But the problem with these early gen models is they were not easily adjustable, if at all, and the rubber, it sucks. It gives and it gives on your shoulder. And when you try to take rapid shots, keeping that dot or whatever you got on target just becomes that much more labor intensive, that much harder to accomplish, especially if you're moving around, etc. So, you know, we innovated. Next up was the first offering that I became aware of from a company called SB Tactical. And they kind of took the brace game and ran with it. They're kind of the leading industry, I guess you call the industry leader in braces. This is my first one that I actually used in probably 2018. You know, I wasn't that worried about getting into it. You know, I was still in the service back then, and I had a full auto suppressed SBR in my locker that I could use whenever I wanted. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. That and I have my own personal SBRs, but you know, that's another story for another day. Anyway, I picked this one up. You know, I got going with it. It kind of had this, it had the buffer tube, but it also had this kind of MP5 style retracting adjustable size system. You know, it worked, but again, rubber. And when you're shooting, you know, rapid fire, it's all over the place. That dot, you're just working that much harder to keep that dot on target during rapid fire engagement, multi-target engagements. So I cranked it down as tight as I could to try to do anything to keep it from flexing, but it didn't really work. Things were getting better though. This is the same company, I believe, SB Tactical, yeah it is, and it fits on a buffer tube, a carbine mil-spec buffer tube. So now it's fully adjustable, easy to get on and off. This thing, huge pain to get off. This one, not much better, but now you can take these things on and off. So you could have a pistol set up, a pistol configuration set up, and then switch it out to a rifle or an SBR. You know, it was easy as can be. But again, still had the rubber. Still had the give, and it sucks. You know, it's easy for plinking. It's okay in a pinch, but if you're actually training, trying to get better, etc., things that we highly suggest here on Tactical Hyve, it's just not the deal. So if you're still living in a rubber world, You gotta get rid of these things, man. They really are terrible. So that takes us to the next generation, which was the blade. I don't know the names, make, or models of these. Why? Because they're freaking garbage. They suck. Don't buy them. If you have them, throw them out. But when it came to the next generation, now we've got something that works. Now we've got something that feels close to what it should feel like. And that is a solid plastic, rigid fin or brace or whatever the hell you want to call it. Again, this one fits right on the carbine just like a standard buffer tube, but it was not a standard buffer tube. There's no carbine indentions for putting on an actual buttstock, a mil-spec buttstock. So you had to use an Allen wrench to adjust it. You got it set to where you wanted, and you had to leave it there. It was basically a fixed, not stock, if that makes sense, which I know it doesn't. But, you know, I used this thing for quite a while. It worked fine, well enough, you could say, but things just kept getting better. So this one, made by Shockwave Technologies, blade pistol stabilizer. This fully adjustable. It's a little bit of a pain to get on and off, especially if you have any gun oil or anything on your fingers, but it fits on a carbine length buffer tube, mil-spec. So now you have a much easier time adjusting. And again, you've got that rigidity. You've got that familiar feel. Not exactly comfortable. You want to, you know, being able to switch back to an actual purpose-built buttstock is always mo better and more comfortable. But, you know, world we're living in. Got to make an attempt, in my opinion. So I used this one for quite a while. I was not in a hurry to upgrade. I didn't really use this thing a whole lot. Yeah, we make content with it, but if I'm actually shooting, I'm shooting purpose-built equipment that's set up similar to what I had in the service. But all in all, a good piece of kit. And these things are really inexpensive. So, you know, being able to try them out, pick which one you like, not that much of a commitment. And then finally, I joined the modern era and I picked up the Magpul New Hotness. This thing is technically a pistol brace. I am very impressed that they are able to do, we're able to get it designated as such. It's very easily adjustable. Again, fits on a mil-spec buffer tube for a carbine AR. And man, this thing is pretty much almost as good as its predecessor, you know, actual like M4 style buttstocks. You know, obviously it's skinnier, thinner here on the back, but it feels pretty good. I like it. I highly recommend it. I love Magpul's products. I used them in my last job through my career, and I highly recommend picking one of these up. I haven't been using it that long, though Coach has had a few of them, and he's been using them, and so far, no regrets. This is just a quick down and dirty of the pistol braces that we've used here on the channel over the past decade or more. It started off, you know, with very humble beginnings. I mean, this thing just looks so old and almost retro to the point, I mean, you know, putting your forearm through this thing, like, you gotta be kidding me. But it was a great starting point. And they kept up with that charade with future models, went ahead and used them. But again, having that rubber in your shoulder, just not the deal. Or on your forearm if you're into that kind of thing. And then eventually we got into the plastics, you know, that have the rigidity of an actual stock. And yeah, they're a little uncomfortable, but they get the job done. If you like being able to switch back and forth from, you know, a pistol to an SBR or to a traditional barrel length, be it rifle or carbine, you can pick up 3D printed pads that will clip right into the Magpul braces. And these are pretty cool. This flattens it out, makes it softer. If you were gonna run this on a carbine, you know, more permanently for whatever reason, you could, you know, it has attachment points that you could put tape, you could glue it on, whatever, you know, whatever works. I haven't really tried that. I'm not worried about it. I have plenty of actual buttstocks that I can use. But, you know, just an idea, tool in the toolbox. Things are evolving, things are getting better. You know, we're filming this video a month or so before this supposed ban or whatever the hell is going to be taking place. So we're just going to have to find out together, you know, where we're going with this, what's happening. But while you still can, you know, this is the latest, greatest generation, and it can be easily converted into a buttstock, you know, if you want to run it on a, you know, rifle, carbine, whatever. Just a tip, you know, if you're into that kind of thing. But again, you know, this is a SOP-mod LMT buttstock, kind of the, you know, they're getting to be kind of getting on in years, but I don't know, there's not a whole lot this can do for me that say this couldn't, or even some of these. But yeah, it is more comfortable. It does have that nice cheek weld. It does have a purpose-built pad for the shoulder. So obviously they are nicer, but if keeping things just a little bit more simplified, keeps us in that pistol, AR pistol or whatever territory, so be it. SB Tactical does have some pretty cool braces for the more modern stuff. The new SIG variants, the Rattlers, the MCXs, etc. You can go ahead and check those out as well. But I don't know, guys, we're just gonna have to find out together and hope for the best. All right, guys, if you like this content, go ahead, like, subscribe. Hopefully this isn't the end of pistol braces as we know it. They are a handy tool. They're a great way to train. And, frankly, I think they have their place. So anyway, this is Dorr with Tactical Hyve, out.